Yo, welcome everyone, Sanjae Uchiha here. Of course, today we'll be tackling Boruto episode 219, and of course we're at the end of the Isshiki Otsutsuki resurrection arc, or the Kawaki arc, or the Kara arc for the most part, and we're heading into a brand new arc after this episode at least. But of course, due to, if you're a manga reader, you know that we are extremely close to the manga, so it seems we're gonna be getting some anime original stuff in the coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the anime actually handles things. So let's see. But hope you guys have an awesome day. Be sure to leave a like if you end up enjoying my reaction and my review. Subscribe, and let's just get into it. All right, so here we have it. Return. For some reason I can't remember if this scene was in the was in the manga. Wow, dog. Alright, yeah, this scene was in the manga for real. True, like 10 times over, you did already, Sasuke. It's a nice refreshing maturity on Sarada's side here. Man just did it as a chillax, dog. Wait, hold on. For manga readers, guys, again, for this episode, I didn't reread the chapter. I didn't reread the chapter before coming into this episode. But this feels like... Was this chapter 55? Or on chapter 57? Nah, I think this would have been chapter 55 stuff. Fresh from death. Alright, so I gotta give props to the voice actor. It really, in terms of that religious devotion that Code has, you can really hear it in the voice and everything. So, okay, good. But I'm sure Isshiki said more to him in the manga. Did they just decide to cut out all of that additional dialogue regarding the chakra fruit and all of that? And you're becoming an Otsutsuki god? It's strange. Well, I could have told you that myself. Yeah, exactly. It's just like he could before. True. Ah boy, I guess it's just one of the quote-unquote perks of being in a modern era of Naruto's world. Hold on, dude. Because stuff like media like this in Konoha, and I think this scene is different from the manga because they're in like a lounge area for this scene. Alright, I kinda like, well, it's to be expected an episode like this, but I'll say my thoughts for the review section. Mitsuki with the logic, the wisdom. They're really building up and showing more of this, you know, Sumeri falling for Boruto thing. It's very interesting how they're doing it. Alright, so I just got done watching the preview, and I'm not gonna lie, before even getting into my thoughts on this episode, based on the preview alone, I'm actually looking forward to next week's episode for the, I guess, interpersonal character conflict and drama when it relates to, you know, making decisions with Boruto's karma, discussions between Naruto and Boruto, and it seems like Sasuke and Naruto will be arguing about something, so that should be interesting, and I think it's going to be something to look forward to. Now, in terms of this episode, episode 219, I thought it was a decent one. When it comes down to these episodes after these Otsutsuki battles, when it comes down to just the aftermath when they come back to the village, those are usually pretty decent episodes, pretty decent watches, and I thought this episode was in the same vein as, say, like an episode like episode 66. So yeah, of course, when you compare this to the manga, the anime does a decent job of adding in the transition scenes between, you know, the different scenes and, you know, locations that we're in compared to the manga, so things at least flow better in terms of pacing. You get to see the build up and how we actually get from point A to point B. For example, we didn't really get the whole Naruto and Sasuke scene along with Katasuki and Sakura to actually see that interaction. That's just one example of like a scene that they added for, you know, to kind of fix the pacing and, you know, transition things to actually let us, the audience, see how things build up. And hold on here. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's just little things like that that really actually add up to make this episode a bit more, you know, I guess feel a bit better compared to its manga version. However, I wasn't really too keen on the fact that they left out some of the details when it comes on to the conversation between Code and Isshiki Otsutsuki. I don't know if it's a case where they'll drop it back in the next episode, maybe. I don't know if I'm remembering the order of the chapters wrong. I don't know if that's really and truly the case. Of course, you can let me know in the comment section below, because as I said, I didn't really reread the chapter before, so yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, because we were supposed to get like a scene of Isshiki telling Code about the chakra fruit and becoming an Otsutsuki god and going from planet to planet and all of that, but it seems like that was really and truly left out. So I'm interested in seeing if that's going to be like re-added when it comes on to next week's episode. So yeah, there is definitely that. And of course, we do get, at least when it comes on to this point in the story, the setup for the next set of antagonists being Code and potentially some other cyborgs to come. You never know. But yeah, in terms of just establishing some stakes in terms of Code's power, in terms of him actually being much stronger than Jigen once his limiters are off. But of course, they're setting up the breadcrumbs in terms of, you know, letting the audience ask, okay, he's stronger than Jigen, he has limiters, but of course they're going to develop things into a plot where he's going to seek to obviously get his limiters off. So it's kind of building up to the next big thing when it comes on to the story, giving the audience like something to look forward to when it comes on to conflict, because of course Isshiki, as well as Amado said, Mosakara is out of the picture. But of course, we need something to build up. We need an idea of where the story is going to go in the long term, and you know, that's always beneficial to the audience to keep them invested. So at least that as well. And of course, even though it's interesting that, you know, Amado is kind of counting out Kashin Koji and marking him off as dead, we as the audience know he's still alive. So that's another thing to actually look forward to when it comes on to the future of the series. So there is definitely that. Now, one thing I actually like about this episode as well, and it's something that I've always been saying, is that due to the nature of Boruto's character, from start to finish, I think when it comes on to persons having a passion or supporting the character of Boruto like that, that isn't necessarily going to come until the time skip, or at least until his life is kind of starting to really and truly spiral out of control, and it's through that you'll get the nuance or the the subtle differences in how you could actually characterize his character and get the audience to actually cheer for him. And we actually got a little, we're starting to get into that as we kind of, even, I mean, looking into this episode, as how he interacts with characters, how he's trying to kind of push things off to show he's fine. You can see things are starting to kind of build up towards him not necessarily being as happy as, say, the start of the Boruto series, for all intents and purposes. So of course things are going to steadily grow and grow more until there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of different ways you could actually write Boruto when it comes down to dealing with this conflict and him being a danger to like everyone else around him. So it's just these little things that are going to add towards, I would say, the series on a whole becoming that much more loved or well received. I would say that in the last 40 episodes, the anime has done a lot to actually, you know, push itself to another level in terms of how the audience would feel about it. But in the grand scheme of things, when it comes down to the canon, the main story and everything, this little development, the start of this development in terms of Boruto's character and how he expresses himself and how he feels, is going to be the start of how, I guess, the audience feeling much better about him as a character. I'm not saying persons still hate Boruto, you know, as a character, but this is just my opinion. I don't think persons love Boruto as a character. So is all I'm saying. So for all intents and purposes, the start of that. Now, what was also interesting about this episode was how they were setting up things with Sumire, like kind of expressing it, showing it more in terms of how she cares about Boruto. When it comes down to the manga, it was understandably a bit, I think, beyond. Okay, at the start of the arc, when they visited Katasuke, they had a scene like that. They had a scene that implied something in the manga with Sumire, and of course more recently in the manga they had another scene between her and Kawaki when it comes down to Boruto. But the anime seems to be taking its time to build up and showcase to the audience more that she actually does like Boruto. So I'm interested in seeing how like what else they'll do to actually, you know, build towards that, especially with a lot of anime canon episodes coming up. It's going to be interesting to see. But as I said, the important thing to me when it comes down to these upcoming anime canon episodes is just to do stuff that ties back into the manga. But that's a discussion for another time. So there's that. Of course, Naruto in this episode as well, getting to express himself and how he feels about the loss of Kurama. I thought that was a nice touch, a nice addition. And in terms of Sasuke losing power, him kind of just saying, yo, I'll just work with what I have. Those little scenes really add to it. And of course, Kawaki and his characterization, as Boruto puts it in this episode, he has a strong sense of honor. And at this point, when it comes down to this episode and even the next episode, next week, the real things that will stand out from those episodes, or to look forward from these episodes, is just the interpersonal, the conversations, the interactions between the characters, given the escalating nature of Boruto and Kawaki's Otsutsufication, especially Boruto, since he still has the karma. So it's going to be interesting to see how the anime staff or anime studio actually handles this. But I'm looking forward to it, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm just telling you, like, I don't know, there's just something special about when it comes down to these moments. Just, you come down from the action and we get to see the thoughts and feelings of the characters. So for all intents and purposes, this episode really seemed like the setup for it, because we even saw how Boruto got on TV and all of that, and of course Team 7 is no longer on missions and all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. Just a slight bit of spoilers, but when it comes down to the manga, there's like a 10 to 17 day window between the meeting between the Kages you see in the next episode and the current chapter. So there's going to be time to really flesh out some interpersonal character drama and thing, in terms of fleshing out the characters' feel, because we pretty much kind of skipped over a number of things when it came to the manga, but Kishimoto has been doing a great job of showcasing things. I will say that. So yeah, but all in all, I thought this was a okay to a decent watch. Let me know if there's anything I missed when it comes down to discussing this episode in the comment section below. I'd love to talk with you guys. But yeah, Boruto 219, and I'm looking forward to next episode because, as I said, it just looks like it's going to be an interesting watch. So yeah. Sanjae Uchiha, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Boruto video.